Hello, beautiful soul. Pardon me. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. For those of you who are returning, let me take a moment and thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me grow this channel, for helping me expand my own abilities. After all, if it wasn't for you, those who are watching and coming back every week to see what is being channeled, there would be no need for me to do this. And I absolutely love what I do. It's one of those things in my life that I cherish deeply. And yes, thank you for being here. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you stay. The purpose of this channel and the ultimate goal for this channel and for me is to channel higher frequency information, knowledge, in order to better help us understand ourselves. And what is the purpose of better understanding of ourselves? It's ultimately to help us realize our own power and therefore realize our full potential, or more of our full potential. So if you are into this sort of thing, if you are wanting to experience your life more powerfully, if you want to embody more of your divine power, then stay tuned. And I would love for you to hit the like button if you enjoy this information, share it with a friend or two, subscribe, hit the notification button. It tells you when I upload new content, and it's usually at least once a week. If you would like to work with me personally and my team to help you overcome some of the challenges you have been dealing with and have not been able to make a dent, it would be our honor to work with you. And that information is down below. You can click on the link below and set up a session with me and my team, and we will help you move past your limitations. For those of you who have worked with me, you know how this works. If you would like to work with me again, I would be honored to be in your presence. Without further ado, today's messages are going to be focused around a longer term timeline. So whenever you are listening to this, whether it's at the end of March, whether it's in April, May, June, July, next year, whenever this information lands in front of you, chances are quite high that there is something in this for you at this particular time. So regardless of when this is uploaded and channeled, this is timeless information. That's why I don't put dates on my uploads anymore, because these are meant to be timeless messages. And many of you have reported to me that you go back and listen to channelings from previous times, and they make perfect sense to you right now, where they may not have made any sense to you when they were originally uploaded. So my intention is always to channel whatever is going to be important and valuable and useful to those who will be attracted to it. And when I say attracted, the attraction is purely energy. At the end of the day, we are all energy. I channel energy. Words are energy. So that's what I want to say. So today's session is going to be what is coming up for you, or what is in store for you, or what can you expect over the next 3 months. I'm going to divide this into 3 different piles. Whichever pile you are drawn to the most, intuitively, the reason why I do this way is because I want you to become comfortable in being guided by your intuition. So let your intuition guide you to whichever pile you are drawn to the most. You may be drawn to all 3. You may be drawn to one and then another one. There may be a little bit of something for you in each pile. So just allow your intuition to guide you. So without further ado, let me focus on the first pile. These will be messages pertaining to what you can expect over the next 3 months. I actually just heard, and also 3 years. So that's a very long-term, I don't like with using the word prediction, but that's a very long-term forecast. But that is what I'm being shown. And the 3-year mark is for very few of you. For most of you, it's going to be 3 months or so, 3 to 4 months, somewhere there, towards the beginning of summer. And summer starts June 21st, I believe, 20th and 21st. So if you're pile 1, the first message I hear, becoming yourself once again. What does that mean? It means that once, at one point, you were yourself. You are fully embodying your true self, your potential. But you have not been that for a while. And for most of you, this is pertaining to other lifetimes. In other lifetimes, you have been living more of your potential, and in this lifetime, you've created a lot of limitations for yourself. Now, when I say you've created a lot of limitations for yourself, I don't mean consciously as a person. I mean higher consciousness way as a soul. You've come into this incarnation in order to experience certain limitations, in order to help you move through them and transcend them. And that is how we grow. So if you've had challenges in your life, particularly 1 or 2 challenges that have been hindering you a lot, and for some of you is the feeling of being taken for granted, or feeling like you are being taken for granted, and feeling emotionally being beaten up, like life has, I don't even know how to say it. Life has been hard for you. You've been feeling emotionally, mentally beaten down. And when we feel beaten down emotionally, spiritually, and otherwise, it limits or reduces our ability to flow and to be fully in charge of our own life. And that is very limiting to who we are as divine beings. And the purpose of having a physical incarnation is to experience, first and foremost, and through experience, it's to grow. And to grow often is to recognize certain somethings or certain patterns, become aware or conscious of certain limitations we put on ourselves, and then choose or decide, or consciously choose and decide to move past those limitations. Now, when we are born into families, certain limitations are imposed upon us. They are projected upon us, and we then own them, for lack of a better word, as our own. And as adults, we continue to own these limitations without even thinking that we are doing this to ourselves, because most of it is very unconscious. I've talked about this before. Over 90%, if not more, of everything that we do, say, and how we behave, and also how we feel, is unconsciously driven or subconsciously driven. So if you're pile 1, you are right now, I'm being told to say these words, you are right now generating a lot of energy that will support you in overcoming some of those challenges that you have been battling for most of your life. And through overcoming these challenges, you will regain some of the innocence that you have lost. What does it mean when I say an innocence is lost? It means that we have become scarred, battered, and we grew up too fast. We didn't get the opportunity to enjoy our life as children should, being playful, curious, and creative. And I'm sure many of you have grown up in environments where a lot of responsibilities were put upon you at a very young age, and that has created a lot of burden on your shoulders, and these burdens effectively became your limitations. Being taken advantage of is one of the limitations that some of you are experiencing. It's the belief and it's the belief, there's another word that wants to come through. There's a belief that people will take advantage of you. And that is because you have been taken advantage of in the past. And what happens when something happens to us on a regular basis, we adopt the idea that that's just how life is, and then it becomes our expectation. So some of you are literally expecting others to take advantage of you. And when that happens, we become very guarded and often very cynical. So notice if there is a part of you that's very cynical, but don't look at it with judgment. Simply look at it for the purpose of acknowledging that, yes, there is a part of you that's very cynical. And that part of you exists for a reason. It has its reason for existing. It was born, if you will, out of some situation. But being overly cynical minimizes our potential to fully thrive. Because under cynicism, there is usually a certain layer of anger that has not been effectively dealt with. Now, of course, if you have been experiencing a lot of situations where you have been taken advantage of or feel like people easily take advantage of you, naturally, you will get angry. Naturally, anger will be part of your experience. There is nothing wrong with that. It's a perfectly appropriate feeling, appropriate emotion. However, if we hold on to this emotion of anger, if we don't allow anger to move through us so that it's no longer dictating how we live, then it becomes diminishing and limiting to our potential. Are you one of those individuals who feels that people take advantage of you, that people take advantage of your generosity? And if that is the case, you have experienced this at some point in your life, usually when we're young, or we have experienced watching others being taken advantage of, and then that situation communicates to us that people take advantage of other people. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where a loved one took advantage of another loved one, and it has confused you. How can someone who loves somebody take advantage of them or hurt them in some way? And the word cynicism is very prominent here. So are you a cynical person? It's not a judgment. Don't judge it. Just ask yourself, am I a cynical person? Now, some level of cynicism is perfectly healthy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being cynical on a regular basis. And cynicism has anger attached to it, and also it has an eroded level of trust. So if you're a cynical person, the chances are quite high that your level of trust has been eroded. If you don't have a lot of trust, then what you have is distrust. And when you operate under the umbrella of distrust, That is what you communicate to the world, to the universe. It is what affects your own vibration. And that vibration is how you communicate to the universe. And by the principle of basic law of attraction, you attract what you believe. So pile number 1 is dealing with trust issues. And I'm not talking about the kind of distrust that you would have of someone. I don't even know how to say it. I'm not saying you have to trust everybody all the time. That would be foolish, because we need to be discerning. What I'm talking about is fundamentally distrusting people on a regular basis. If we trust too much, we're being naive. If we distrust too much, we are essentially closing ourselves off from beautiful experiences. Perhaps you are in a relationship and you cannot fully trust your partner or the person you are in a relationship with. And perhaps you are fearful they're going to leave you. Perhaps you are fearful you're going to be abandoned. And if that's the case and you are operating under that belief structure, then chances are that you are creating an environment that often feels very hostile. Because if you don't trust, there is often anger attached to it. So this is not going to be for all of you, but if you're picking this pile, there is something in there for you. Trust, mistrust, being taken advantage of, which will create distrust, of course. And the reason why this is being brought up is because if you're listening to this and this resonates with you, you are now in a position or in a place in your own human evolution and your own spiritual evolution where you are able to heal it responsibly. They're saying responsibly heal it. And it's not something that gets taken away by anybody. It's something that requires you to look at the depth of what you believe, not what you consciously want to believe, not what you consciously tell yourself, but really what that inner child in you believes. And most of this is usually very unconscious. There are people around you who are willing to listen to you and to lend their helping voice and their helping hand. But if you distrust them, you're not going to be able to take what they have in order to benefit you, or to open up enough and let them in so they can help you. Are you that person? If so, you are being encouraged to give this opportunity a chance. To allow yourself, to give yourself the opportunity, to give yourself the permission, thank you, to open yourself up to someone you feel comfortable with, or at least somewhat comfortable with, so they can reach out into you, if you will, and bring up what is necessary for you to see in order so that you can begin to heal it. In my practice, 99% of my work evolves or revolves around healing the inner child, because your inner child is part of your ego. Your construct, your identity is wrapped up in with your inner child. Your inner child is, when it's unhealed, it's in a driver's seat. I always say you wouldn't want a 3-year-old driving your car. Your inner child is also very emotional. There is no logic there. It acts out of emotion. So if your inner child is full of fear, you will often act out of fear. And that is not a very stable way of dealing with life on a regular basis. Are you that person? They're showing me a heart that's broken and being put back together. Your heart is ready to be healed, but you have to want it. And to heal your heart is a journey. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm hearing someone say, I've tried it before, it doesn't work. It's impossible. If you are ready to be healed, and when I say ready, it's not the readiness that we tell ourselves, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. But the inner part of you is terrified. I'm talking about a deeper readiness where you are at a certain point of your journey and the universe puts things together for you because on a soul level, you're ready. I'm sure you've experienced situations where you've wanted to change something and you said, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Why is this not happening? Well, it's not happening because some deep part of you is not ready yet or was not ready yet. But you are becoming more ready now than ever before. And you are about to turn the corner. What's around the corner, you say? You ask? Around the corner is a new beginning. Which means in order for you to experience a new beginning, there has to be an ending of some sort. An ending of a certain situation, an ending of how you see yourself, most importantly, an ending on how you relate with yourself, because that affects how you relate with others and with the world. It's the death and rebirth type scenario. Are you ready to leave your past behind? If you're dealing with trust issues, distrust, belief that people always take advantage of you and they will always take advantage of you. If you are resonating with these words, you are ready to turn the corner. But it requires your participation. It cannot be done for you. Nobody can change you. Nobody can transform you. That is up to you. There are many people who can help you with that process, who can help you see things you were not able to see before, who can help you dive deeper into your own unconscious patterns so that you can become conscious. And as a result of becoming conscious, you have more awareness, and with awareness, you have more choices. So let me pull some cards for pile number 1. It's important for you to follow the process. I'm hearing a protocol. Some of you will be following some kind of a protocol to healing, and it's important for you that you follow the process. I also get the phrase, Rome was not built overnight, which means it requires your attention and your patience. Whenever we're doing these healings, or whenever we are healing ourselves, imagine that you are literally dealing with a little child. And little children are often very scared. They act out emotionally. They don't have well-developed reasoning abilities. And trying to come on their level with our logical thinking doesn't always help. In fact, it rarely helps. We have to come to their level and meet them on an emotional level. So this process involves you getting in touch with your feelings and with your emotions. including the anger ones. Okay? It is not to focus on anger, it's to connect with that part of you that is angry in order to begin to heal it. And that is a process. And sometimes it's a difficult process because it asks us to go into places we usually don't want to go because it's uncomfortable. But if you're dealing with someone who is skilled, like myself, for example, you will find that someone is going to make you feel comfortable, where you will allow yourself to look at the things you normally don't look at because the environment will be there to support you. Okay? And it is very important that you feel supported in this. Absolutely, inherently important that you feel support in this. For some of you, this is about looking at a breakup that has happened. Perhaps this was a breakup that you have experienced in your family. Perhaps it was a breakup between your parents. And perhaps because as a result of this breakup, you were taken away from one of your parents and it created a certain feeling in you, a certain dissatisfaction, obviously. And perhaps you began to believe that this other parent didn't want you. And to a young child who has no understanding on a logical level what's going on, that is a very painful experience. We feel rejected. So some of you will have challenges with rejection, which leads to distrust, feeling like you can't trust. Okay, oops. Wow. We have passion ignited, we have harmony, and we have patience and planning. Okay? So this is the One of Wands, the Ace of Wands, I believe, in a traditional tarot. This is talking to me about being at a place where there is a potentially brand new beginning for you, but you are in resistance to it. Perhaps you are in resistance to it because you feel it's too hard, the process is too hard. Perhaps you are scared of having this new beginning. For some of you, this is around work. For others, it's around relationships, especially because there is lovers here, okay? It's time to reignite your life. If you've been feeling stifled, if you've been feeling lost, if you've been having a lot of regrets, you are at a cusp of having a brand new beginning. But before you have this brand new beginning, there are some things you need to take care of, especially things around your heart. Okay? So again, this speaks to the message of having your heart broken. Most people experience that at some point in their lives, often more than once. If you feel like your heart has been broken in the past and you have not been able to heal it, and you have been functioning from a space of brokenheartedness, it's time to regain your balance. So the harmony, although it's the Lovers, it speaks to me about balance, yin and yang. What I'm also getting is the word acceptance. For some of you, it's accepting your feminine side, your feminine energy. Perhaps as a result of having a broken heart, being rejected, you have pushed down your feminine side, your feminine energy, your feminine aspect. And as a result, you begin to not believe in yourself. And you're being urged, yes, to bring that part of you back, to bring it more out of you. And it is through acceptance. Accepting yourself as part of it, accepting what has transpired in a way that allows you to move on. And generally the way that we are able to move on is through acceptance. So there are some things in your life that you are looking at resolving through acceptance. The other thing I want to say here, it was not your fault. However that applies to you, it's going to trigger different people differently. It was not your fault. For some of you, this is a very strange message, and I actually feel a little bit uncomfortable saying it. But the message is your dad or your father was a monster. So perhaps you had a dad who was not very kind, and that obviously has affected you, and it's time to heal from that. Okay. Last but not least, we have patience and planning. It is in reverse. So this is speaking of the physical world, your physical 3D situation. And what I'm hearing here is you're not quite ready yet for the new beginning. So there is something in front of you, something that is, okay, whatever this is, and I feel for many of you, this will be around career move, money situation, relationships as well. You're in a process of gathering information in order to get yourself ready. So if you have been looking at creating something new in your life, a brand new beginning, a new venture, over the next 3 months, you are gathering information, collecting information, if you will, and that involves education for some of you. That will help you be more ready in order to experience or to bring to you this new beginning, this new adventure, this new venture. Okay? Is there anything else? 7 to me signifies that it is perhaps going to take place in July. Okay? But whatever this is that you are working on right now, you're not quite ready yet to experience it. Okay? Just show me the analogy of a cake. When you put all the ingredients together and you put the cake in the oven and you set it at whatever, 450 degrees for, let's say, 50 minutes. If you take it out halfway through, the cake is not going to be ready, which means all the work you've done up until this point of putting everything together is going to go to waste because it's not ready. It's not ready. It needs time to bake so that it's ready, so that you can enjoy it. It's kind of a similar situation. Things need to come into place in a certain order and in a certain time for when you are finally ready to experience this new endeavor. Okay? So the words here are be patient. And I speak about being patient a lot, and sometimes we say, oh my God, I've been patient for so long. How long am I supposed to be patient? Be patient as long as it's necessary. Okay? For some of you, this new endeavor is speaking of a family. creating your own family, being part of a family, introducing new family, being introduced to new family. It speaks of a union or reunion. You are in a process of solidifying your foundation. And part of solidifying your foundation is the process of healing what you are attached to from your past. Okay? Because that is hindering you in terms of what you are wanting to experience. Okay? So that is pile number 1. And as I close off with pile number 1, I'm seeing the symbology of a butterfly, which is my symbol for transformation or death and rebirth. Okay? So that's pile number 1. Pile number 2. What I'm seeing for you is you having plenty. And I see this most, what's the word, please? The focus for me is around money, financially having plenty. So over the next 3 months, whenever you are listening to this, over the period of the next 3 months or so, you are going to experience a lot more abundance, plentifulness. I'm hearing like magic. It's just going to come to you. But what I want to say is it's not like it's just going to come to you. It's going to come to you because you are going to attract it. And in order for you to attract it means you have to become a magnet to it. Which means if you have been struggling financially for a while and you have been working on yourself in order to shift your own vibration. And by shifting your vibration, I mean you are moving past your inner conflicts and the walls that have been preventing you from attracting more abundance, especially financial abundance. It means that you have been doing that. And for some of you, you've been doing it for a while, and you are going to see the evidence of that coming into your life in a very short order. And I see celebration. I see new opportunities. I see plenty. I just see plenty. This also symbolizes a new beginning, but it's in a slightly different way than the first pile. This is a new beginning in terms of not only what you attract to yourself, but what are you going to do with all of this? How are you going to share your abundance? And I see you being very generous. I see you being generous. I don't know how else to put it. You're being generous. There's an image that I'm being shown that keeps coming up over and over again. So I'm going to describe to you. The image is, I see a huge long table. And this table is being set for some kind of an occasion. So I don't know if you are the one setting this table, if you are the one that's going to be putting together this occasion. It's some kind of a celebration, and for some of you, it's a wedding. Perhaps for some of you, you're going to use your abundance, your plentifulness, to pay for someone's wedding, or to throw a party, or to throw an engagement. And when I say engagement, it could be an actual engagement party, or where people engage. Okay. Plentifulness. I feel a lot of plentifulness. For some of you, I see you painting. So this is obviously not going to be for everybody, but I see you standing in front of canvas and I see you painting. This is something that you might be taking as a hobby, as a class, or as something that has been dormant in your life for a while, meaning you've done it before or you've had interest, but you've put it aside because you've had no time or money or resources, and now you're bringing it back into your life. I also see you, if this is you, in an open field. You are painting nature. You are outside. So I feel like there's a couple of messages with this. Nature is calling you. Spend more time in nature. Some of you are very psychic, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I just had a crow land on my shoulder, and the crow to me always symbolizes somebody who is very psychic, and nature draws it out of you. In other words, when you are in nature, you can hear much more clearly. You can perceive much more clearly. And that's probably, for one, we connect through nature. The universe speaks to us often through nature. But in nature, we feel calmer. Nature calms us down. Nature helps us feel more balanced. For some of you, it's being around water. I see like a creek, not necessarily a river, but like a creek. And the sound of a creek, that's very soothing. So if you're someone who lives in a city and is usually surrounded by concrete walls, you are being encouraged to spend more time in nature. Even if you can go out in your balcony, if you have one, and just be outside with fresh air. And while you're outside, while you are in nature, ask your spirit guides, your angels, whatever term you want to use, universe, to communicate to you through nature, through symbols. Like I said, crow to me means symbolically a very psychic person. So quite a few of you are quite psychic. I'm hearing psychic manifesting. I'm not quite sure what that means, but psychic manifesting. Some of you are getting really good at manifesting. And I see you writing things down. You're tuning in and you're writing things down. And you're tearing whatever you wrote down, and then you throw it in the air, or like you send it off to the universe, maybe even burn it with the flame. And by doing that, you're sending it off to the universe so that universe can help you to bring that about into your 3D reality. But a lot of it has to do with physicality and financial abundance, prosperity, okay? Some of you literally are going to be engaged. I see an engagement party. I see two people getting engaged. And it is, if this is you, it feels like this engagement is built on a very solid foundation. Now, of course, if we don't have a solid foundation and then we start a relationship on that, then the relationship will generally is going to suffer. Doesn't mean it can't work. It obviously can be worked through, but the stronger the foundation, the more chances are that the relationship will be a long-term relationship. It has the potential and the power to sustain itself. What does it mean to have a strong foundation? Well, a relationship foundation is made up of two people. It's person one, person two, and each person brings into the relationship their own stuff. The less stuff you bring into the relationship, and you can only take care of your part, you cannot take care of your partner's part of their foundation, their stuff. I hope this is making sense. In other words, the less baggage you bring into a relationship, the more chances are that your relationship will withstand even the most challenging situations. And every relationship has challenging situations, obviously. It's how we grow. So the message here is, if you are in a situation or a position where the next steps are being revealed to you in terms of it's time to take your relationship to the next level, whether it be an engagement, a marriage, or some other ways of solidifying a union, make sure that you go into this next level, next phase, with the least amount of baggage. Which means be responsible for your choices and be responsible for your actions and be responsible for yourself. Don't make other people responsible for your actions. I think that's fairly self-explanatory, but I don't know why I'm being asked to say this, so it's going to mean something to somebody. Your responsibility is yours and yours alone. What does that mean? Be responsible for your own feelings. Be responsible for your own emotions. Don't be responsible for how, don't take other people's feelings your responsibility, because that ends up being a very heavy baggage. So some of you perhaps are entering relationships and you have a pattern of taking on the responsibility of how other people feel. I've talked about this before. It's a futile process because you cannot be responsible for how people feel. Of course, we add to how people feel. We certainly can enhance how people feel, but we are not responsible for how people feel. It's an impossible task. I tried to do it ever since I was young. It's impossible. Because what ends up happening is you end up being responsible for how other people feel, and that is always a, as they say, crapshoot. So I feel like I veered off from abundance now to a relationship. So there's a couple different messages there. Notice if this is you. Are you a person who has had a pattern of I'm almost seeing, what I'm getting is, have you had a pattern of changing how you feel about yourself often? And I'm trying to decipher, what does that mean? Why would you change how you feel about yourself often? Often, that's the key word. Well, if you change how you feel about yourself often, then that means you're not stable in how you feel, which means you're not solid in who you are. Are you easily influenced by other people? Got it. Thank you. Are you easily influenced by how other people feel? Are you easily affected by how other people feel? That is not to say that you shouldn't be affected. That is not to say that you can't be affected or that you're not affected. That's not what I'm saying. But if you are easily affected by how other people feel to the point that how they feel messes with you and your stability, then that's something you need to look at. Because if you are entering into a relationship and your partner's mood disturbs your status quo, disturbs your own stability, then that's going to make you feel very unstable, which will add to the relationship feeling unstable. And perhaps when this has happened in the past, you tried to fix it. You tried to fix the other person. You tried to manage the other person's feelings and emotions, which essentially means you began to depend on how you feel about yourself based on how the other person feels, their moods, and so forth. And I've been in those situations before. They're not fun. It's not a very stable feeling. In fact, it feels very destabilizing. So are you that person? Especially if you are entering into a relationship, either a brand new one you've been there for a while, and now it's time to move it to the next phase, next step, next level. If this is you, just acknowledge this about yourself. This is very important. Because what you want to do is you want to elevate your relationship. You want to take the relationship to the next level from an elevated space. Which means leave what no longer serves you behind. Any self-limiting thoughts and beliefs. Heal those so that you can enter to this new phase with a stronger relationship with yourself, which will create a stronger relationship with your partner. Okay? A different message is some of you are releasing a commitment. So some of you are starting a commitment and some of you are releasing a commitment. And this is not going to be for a lot of you, but for some of you, I see you being pissed off and you're taking the wedding band or whatever symbolizes your relationship and you throw it. And you're mad. Someone has disappointed you. But it's not that you are going to be disappointed in the next 3 months. It's the disappointment has been going on for a while, and it's just in the next 3 months, you ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's in this for me? What's the purpose of doing this? And I feel like you're saying, no, I've had enough. So that's going to be for some of you. If this is what resonates with you, this is not going to be something that just catches you off guard. This is something that you have been dealing with for quite some time. Okay. Now, does that mean that you are going to leave a relationship? No, not necessarily. Absolutely not. However, it does signify that there needs to be some changes and adjustments made to this relationship in order for this relationship to work. And to work in a stronger and positive way. For some of you, you need more fun together. You need more fun separately, but you need more fun together. You need to add more fun into your life. When our life evolves primarily around responsibilities and duties, then it becomes quite heavy and dry. And yes, it helps us survive and all that stuff, but life is not just about survival. Life is about thriving. And if we don't inject some fun into our relationships, then it becomes heavy. Then it becomes sometimes discouraging. And sometimes we ask the question, what am I doing this for? I'm sure if you've been in a relationship before, I'm sure you've had moments where you've said to yourself, it's easier being alone, right? So for some of you, notice if what's missing in your relationship is some fun, some lightheartedness, some joy and light energy, laughter, okay? If this is you, that is easily fixable, if I can use that term, but it requires your energy and your input and your commitment and also the other party as well, okay? For some of you, you've been together for a very long time. And what happens in every relationship, things, they're different when they're at the beginning, when there's sparks and fireworks. As time goes on, we get into everyday routines and we lose that spark. So it's important to inject that spark once in a while. It keeps the relationship solid. What I'm hearing is finances are a big part of it. Perhaps you've been focusing on finances for whatever reason that you've lost track of the other things that make relationship work. And finances is one of the biggest parts. I mean, most people in relationships fight about few things. Finances are at the top of the list. So inject some fun into your relationship. That's a very big part. Also, if you have a tendency to be passive aggressive, if that is your thing, and this is not a judgment, this is simply an observation. If this is how you feel, how you deal with challenges is in a passive aggressive way, which can also be very dismissive. Notice if this is you, because if you allow yourself to look at this and you acknowledge that this is who you are, or this is how you do things, and you've picked them up from wherever, it didn't just come to you, you've learned it. You've learned to be passive aggressive. If this is how you are, and it will come out in relationships, then your relationship will suffer. So just ask yourself, do I have a tendency to be passive aggressive? Do I have a tendency to be dismissive of the other person? And I always say this, we do things for a reason. Always. So if you are being dismissive of another person, there's a reason why you do it. You want them to feel a certain way. Maybe you want them to be punished, to feel like they're being punished. Perhaps that is how you deal with your anger. You want someone to be punished. It's not the healthiest way. So it seems like there's a lot of focus on relationships here, even though there was focus on abundance at the very beginning. So this is going to cover different types of people. See what resonates with you. Again, this is what's happening or coming up over the period of about 3 months. Okay. Some of you need to drink more water, filtered water, healthy water, pure water. Some of you would be beneficial to go on a cleanse or cleanse diet. Okay, this is very specific. Some of you would benefit from a parasite cleanse. I mean, we have parasites in our bodies all the time. But if you've been having some digestive challenges, digestive disorders, or your digestive system is out of order, it would be beneficial for you to do a parasite cleanse or detox. So obviously you'd have to speak to someone who is knowledgeable in that stuff. That's not me. Check it with your doctor, do some research about it, and just see if that resonates with you. Okay. For some of you, seeing an increased uptake of vitamin C or antioxidants. So you gauge and see if this is something that you could benefit from. If you've been kind of feeling not great, perhaps you need more antioxidants. So those are all health related stuff. Always check with your doctor. Okay, so that's what I have for pile number 2. Pile number 3. What I'm sensing is that over the next 3 months, you are likely to take more risks. These are not foolish risks. These are educated risks. Some of them are big risks. And these risks have the potential to bring about a lot of money. It doesn't feel like it's a message for most people. It feels like it's selected few. And the risks are quite high. which means high risks, there's a high potential for loss. But for some reason, whoever this is for, you're taking a gamble on it. Perhaps this is gambling risks. And then I hear, be careful what you ask for. So that famous saying, be careful what you ask for. Other types of risks. I see some of you taking a risk in purchasing something that is, I want to say, unfamiliar to you. Something you would not have purchased before, but for some reason, you're taking a chance on this. You're taking a risk. So there's some money that you're putting out, and then you're receiving this in return. And whatever this is that you are purchasing and taking risks on, you're paying money for, is going to grow. It's something that grows. This could be stocks. This could be anything. But this risk that you are taking in purchasing something and receiving something in exchange is going to grow. Okay? For some of you, this risk is around knowledge. You're paying for, perhaps it's education. Thank you. Perhaps you're paying for knowledge. You're paying for training. You're paying for education. And this type of education is something that is new to you. Perhaps you're going to some sort of a seminar that normally you would never attend, but something inside you just says it's worth a try. And whatever that is for you, it seems to open your understanding of something, on a certain subject, but also it seems to open a possibility or a new door. And this door leads to a new venture. So I know that this is very vague, but that is how it's being presented to me. The key words here, or the key ingredients in the third pile, is knowledge. Knowledge. And this knowledge produces dividends. It produces how do I say this? At the end of the day, this knowledge nourishes you. That's the best way that I can describe it. It nourishes you. It amplifies your potential. And this is, for some of it's education. And it qualifies you to do something you have not done before. So this is not necessarily an upgrade to something you already know. This is something that's completely new and different to you. And for many of you, this will represent a change in direction in your career, or a change in direction in terms of how you make a living, how you bring about finances or financial success, financial abundance. Okay? Education, that's the key word. For some of you, this education comes about as a result of your transformation. You have been in transformative energies for quite some time. For some of you, for quite a long time. And I'm getting a period of 2 years. So you've been going through this transformative process of about 2 years. And usually when we go through transformation, there's usually a lot of changes that we go through. Internal changes, external changes, both. And as a result of these changes externally and internally and externally, you're arriving at this place, at this new space, this new energetic space that is akin to new beginnings. And these new beginnings usher new opportunities and open new doors. And I'm seeing the analogy of low-hanging fruit, which means it's just there for you to grab it. But it requires your attention, and it requires your intention. So what is the intention for yourself over the next 3 months? What are you wanting to achieve for yourself down the road in the near future? Because if you connect with the idea of being in transformative energies over the last 2 years, you have regain a lot of your old self, because you used to minimize yourself for quite a bit. So for those of you who used to minimize yourself, you have achieved a new level of awareness, and this new level of awareness is allowing you, or helping you, or both, to stay stronger in your own skin, to be more in tune with yourself, to be more aligned with yourself, to be more in the flow with universal energies, which is always much more potent when it comes to manifesting. Okay, so you are in a manifesting space right now. There is no question about it. And your manifestation starts with intention. So be conscious and cognizant of your intentions. Because if you are not conscious or cognizant of your intentions, whatever you put your mind into, good, bad, or indifferent, you're going to create. You're going to create more of. So for example, if you are focusing on negativity, or if you are focusing on lack, as an example, because has been your go-to, then you are going to be recreating more of that. That's just an example, okay? On the other hand, if you are conscious and cognizant of your intentions, and cognizant of how you speak, the energies you project out into the world, then the level of manifestation, or the potential of your manifestation, is amplified, and therefore whatever you choose to put your focus on, you will bring about in a manifested form. Okay? And I very strongly feel it has to do with education, knowledge, that then ultimately leads to something new, a new endeavor. Okay, so see how that resonates with you. I feel like I'm being drawn to, I just realized pile 2 had no cards, but sometimes that happens. You are getting close to a finish line. That means, what does that mean actually? For some of you, you have been working on some sort of a project, and you're getting ready to finish it. Finishing this project is going to give you a relief, but it's a temporary relief, because right after you finish this project, there is a new project waiting for you. So this project could be anything: building a house, building some kind of a work project. You are a busy person. You're very busy, but time is on your side. You're a very adaptable person. They're showing you are a very adaptable person. So what we have here is blessed, but it does come in reverse. Okay, it's number 22, which comes to 4. 4 to me always represents brand new foundations, brand new structures, creating new foundations. 2s are about choices. Okay, it came in reverse, and this is what I hear: don't listen to naysayers. I have a funny suspicion or funny feeling that for those of you that resonate with the idea of finishing a project, you're going to jump into something new, and whatever that is, there are certain people in your life that for some reason are not, it's not that they're not in agreement with what you're going to do, but they wouldn't do it themselves. Okay, they wouldn't do it themselves. That's the message I get. Just because they wouldn't do it themselves does not mean that you shouldn't do it yourself. Of course, listen to wise voices, listen to wise counsel, of course. But at the end of the day, if you really feel that this next thing, whatever it is for you, next project, the next thing, is something that's calling you, then it would be wise for you to listen to that intuition. And oftentimes people will give you advice based on their own understanding of themselves and the world and their own fears and biases. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's how it goes. And you have been growing a lot, and for some of you, the way you see things now are very different than when you have been seeing things before. So for some of you, jumping onto this next thing may surprise some of your friends, some of your family members. They may even call you foolish. Okay? Make sure that whatever choice or decision you're making, make it from deeply knowing and trusting yourself. And that's not always easy. It's not always easy. Perhaps for some of you, you are ready to leave a well-paying job and move on to something that is that's more risky, but less, I want to say solid. But it's not that it's not solid, it's just solid in a different way. Perhaps you are taking on something that is very different from what you used to doing. Now, it would make sense considering that I've been talking about education, right? And opening doors and different doors. So that makes perfect sense. Be mindful of your fears and your own inner callings, okay? Because you will have a calling and then you'll have your fears, and then you'll have to decide, what do I listen to? Okay, and sometimes it's not always easy to distinguish what's your inner calling, what's your fear. Okay, so meditation ends up being very helpful with that. Okay, so that's message number 1. For pile number 3, I'm going to pull a different card message. What is another message for pile number 3? Be responsible for your own actions and decisions. Try not to make decisions based on what other people would want for you. And sometimes we do that, right? Sometimes we do that to please other people. Sometimes we do it because we don't want to rock the boat. Sometimes we do it because it feels safe. I mean, there's many reasons. There's no judgments around that. But be very mindful of that. Okay. Seek. So I believe this is the Hermit, if I'm not mistaken. And what I'm being asked to say here, whatever choices or decision that you are going to make, seek wise counsel. And this counsel isn't necessarily a 3D human form counsel. This is a higher vibrating counsel. Perhaps it's your guides, your angels, source, God, whatever you want to name it. And trust in this wise counsel, because this wise counsel knows you better than you know yourself. Okay? Be open to new ideas and be open to seeing things from a new and different perspective. Okay? Birds may also be something that's important to you or significant to you in your life. You may just see a lot of birds around, perhaps 2 birds specifically. For some of you, this wise counsel interestingly comes from mom and dad, but they're not in the physical body anymore. That's not going to be for all of you, okay? Perhaps you're asking your mom and dad in spirit, what would you do? How would you counsel me? And they see things very differently than they did when they were in a physical body. They are not restricted or constricted by their 3D ideas and beliefs. So asking them for counsel would be a wise move. Okay? I just hear opportunities await you. Opportunities await you. Are you willing to take the step to meet these opportunities halfway? Okay, so there's definitely a level of risk required, a level of courage that's required. However that speaks to you, whatever that is for you, know that you can take this on. Okay? It feels like a very new something. It's a very new energy. It's unfamiliar on some level. It's just completely different from the way you've done things. Completely different. And it feels fresh but scary at the same time. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Scary doesn't mean necessarily it's bad. It just means it's unfamiliar, so it's natural to be a little bit afraid. It's risque. But you will take a calculated risk. Okay? Calculated risk. I'm going to pull one more card for pile number 3. What other message do we have for pile number 3? I'm getting a message of support. Finding those who support you on your new path. Again, don't listen to naysayers. That can make a difference, a huge difference in your life. In fact, it will make a huge difference in your life when you surround yourself with people who will support you. People may not necessarily agree with everything that you do, but if they can support, and they may not agree for various reasons. They may not have the guts themselves, they may not have the courage themselves, they may see things differently. But if they support you, knowing that you're following your own heart, you're following your intuition, which is something perhaps they don't know how to do. If they can support you regardless of the fact that they necessarily wouldn't know how to do it, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I also hear be mindful, not everybody thinks the same way, of course. So people might have different ideas about your new venture. It's okay. They're just ideas. Doesn't mean anything unless you make these ideas your own ideas. Okay, so be very mindful where you stand and where other people stand and what is true for you and what isn't. That's going to help you make the right decision for you. That's hugely important. Give me a last message, please, for pile number 3. Whatever this journey is, you're doing it alone. It is, for some of you, it's you leaving your family behind. You are literally moving somewhere else or leaving your known behind. And it's not a bad thing, but it's absolutely a new venture. So we have 2 major arcana. We have the shadow, which is the moon, and we have transformation. Okay, so this is in reverse. This is about facing yourself. It's about facing the unknown, facing yourself. I am feeling, the message I get with this is, you are meeting yourself. You are meeting yourself. There's a mystery here. There's a mystery here. You are meeting a part of you haven't met yet. And this part of you is very wise and it's very integral to your overall growth. Perhaps you are going to literally meet your higher self. That is what I'm getting here. The transformation in reverse, which is the death card, all that this is saying to me is that you have gone through a transformation process. I talked about this already. And you are moving on. You are literally, that's what I want to say. You are moving on. Incidentally, this comes to a 4, which is also a brand new beginning, new structures, new foundations. Many of you are coming out of your box. As a result of your transformation, you are coming out of your box. You're facing yourself. That's all I have for all 3 piles. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if this makes sense. Of course, if you're listening to it now, it makes no sense. It may make sense 3 months from now. I wish you best of luck. If you would like me to help you with my team and help you move past your limitations, you can book a session with me. That information is down below. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.